Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the first and inaugural episode of the Esports Universe show. A slightly different format to what we've been previously doing with the Esports Universe community talks. My name is Bofferz, as you well know, joined by Nfinity, Brody, Chris Stealth, and Tactical Rab. How are we all doing, gents?
Wonderful.
Brody seems
I love this awkward bit at the start. Like all three of us are just like, so we're gonna say great, yeah, wonderful.
Just get some enthusiasm.
I just don't want to interrupt anyone. Is all.
Yeah, that's fine.
No, exactly.
So,
be nice about it.
Just a quick introduction to the show, people. The premise of this one is it's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little more ESPU focused as well. We're not doing as much of the community talks business anymore with individualized topics every week. The idea is, as you can see on your screen at the moment, we go through a few topics each week. We've got intro, news, ACL update, community talks, and the big questions. The community talks aspect of it is still there. We're still going to be taking questions from yourselves as well. That's in the big question segment. So it's a bit of a new format. We thought we'd revamp it for what we'd call in like a second season of it, or I don't know what you go with.
Revamp.
Either which way, we're going to roll with it, and we're going to hope it goes well. It's an interesting new format. Obviously, got a shed load of new graphics and everything as well, which you guys are hopefully going to enjoy. We're going to go through this in the most professional way possible. Yeah, Rab's got it. And yeah, it should be a good one. So, Brody, take us away with the news, my guy. You're the one with the information at hand. What are we going through first?
We'll talk about... So Call of Duty, this is actually our first podcast, right? So since the release of Call of Duty Black Ops 4, we've been waiting for it for ages. We thought we'd take a break until the game has come out, and now it's finally out. But we've had a fairly problematic launch, I think we can say, at the very least. We still don't have a rule set. We still don't have the rule set.
Oh yeah.
Right, let me touch on this one already. Right?
we
are only like
Come
2
on,
weeks into the game's life cycle. With every COD release
People just want to play COD.
Since the start of time, we've never had a rule set within the first 2 weeks. Never, okay?
In fairness, it's still October. Like, usually we're still waiting
for a game by this point.
Yeah,
for a game, you know.
Yeah. So everyone just needs to just chill, right?
Just get what they're given.
Try telling the youth community
it
that,
is
Chris.
coming. The youth community can just, be quiet for once. They're the youth, okay? They shouldn't be allowed to play. So chill it, okay? It's coming.
Well, regardless, people are definitely complaining about the lack of a rule set, even if it's not warranted. And of course, we'll get to that later on. That is our big question for this week. So for those of you who aren't aware, we have a big question every week where we get both the Twitch chat and, of course, if you guys are on Twitter, you guys can get involved as well. So we're going to get a hashtag out there. I think we decided on then that it was going to be hashtag ESPU asked. Or ESPU asks.
Oh, wow.
So if you guys just want to, tag us at any of us here, if you guys want to get involved in the conversation, the question we'll be asking this week is quite simply, what will be in the CWL rule set? So just something like that. Simple, and we'll be talking about that later on in the show. But for news this week, we have a few bits and bobs that we wanted to bring up. So I know, Aaron, you're very focused on the esports side. So we'll start there then. We'll start with some of the roster changes that you wanted to talk about, and we'll start with the big one, which is Crisis Gaming just disappearing off the map.
I mean, start with your little stupid thing that you said beforehand, the crisis thing.
After you like completely deterred me from that, I was like, no, I'm not doing it.
I mean, it's just a classic for these small orgs, really. This is one thing. I don't want to get into the franchising thing, but when franchising happens,
don't get me started.
Like these small orgs with the bullshit funding that don't actually exist, and they're just dropping their teams. Like, they want to pick up some guy like Killer, get a little bit of clout, get a little bit of following around their org, and they don't actually have the money behind them. So at least those things are going to stop. I mean, obviously it's way before the season, so this shouldn't actually like screw over Killer's team too much. Like, who is it? Killer, like TCM, Twiz, those
5
guys.
players now. There's one too many players to remember.
Man, it's it actually still seems weird saying 5 guys.
It does. Yeah, absolutely does.
So...
5 guys in 5 guys. Is that what's going to be the ultimate?
Oh yeah.
That's the new Landos.
Yeah.
And actually, this is another thing we could talk about real quick. Is of course, how does 5v5 play so far? Obviously,
hold on, you're making a jump here, aren't we? We're esports stuff.
I mean,
hold on a minute. Let Rab have his minute. Come on.
Well, I mean, okay, Rab, go on. Continue on.
Continue on.
If you want to talk about Crisis.
I wasn't going to say much more about them. I was just going to go on to the next
This is what I was waiting for.
Talk about Reedy's team.
What other teams are there? There's Reedy's team.
Well, there's Reedy's team, which is like part of the old Epsilon. So minus Dave, he's gone to Madcat's team. Then you got Reedy, Hawkey, and Vortex. They have been joined by Denza, and they had Nevo on their team. and apparently they've dropped Nevo. I was just listening to Spitfire, and they said Reedy said the reasoning was that like the communication, considering he's foreign, it wasn't like good enough in the search and destroys. He was struggling to understand what people said, which I guess, given 5v5, is more of an issue. So they've dropped him for Cammy MVP.
Oof,
So that's the new lineup. If you guys weren't aware of the news.
Oh, fair enough. That's not a bad player to get either. I mean, George and I have casted over Cammy for a
And
very
Like
long
Nevo's
time.
their AR, and is
Nevo,
Cammy
yeah.
an AR?
No, he's a sub.
No.
Yeah, so like he's gonna be. I mean, maybe Hawkeye uses an AR because obviously Vortex is a sub, Den's is a sub. Like I guess Reedy and Hawkeye are the ARs. Then it's a little bit weird, but
Well, I mean, in this meta at the moment, I think we're looking at like 3 ARs. I don't.
Yeah, you're right.
The
like,
ICR's like
you
pretty
could get
much
away
the gun
with
to
2
use.
ICRs, 2 Maddox on like every map, easy.
The Maddox
Easily.
basically is an SMG anyway. I
Yeah,
think.
we were
Yeah.
we were shocked about that, weren't we, Chris? We were playing Blackout. We were like, actually, the Maddox is not an SMG. It's a complete
Nasty.
shock. It's nasty for an SMG. But we'll move on then. To some of the more casual stuff. So some of those little tidbits of news that have come up. So we recently saw the server news came out. That was people were up in arms. I'm a regular Redditor, as it were, and the Black Ops 4 subreddit were not happy about the server
Where are they
downgrade
happy?
from the beta. Well, that's very true.
Are they ever happy about anything? Yeah, let's be real.
No, let's be honest, no. But for those of you who don't know, the beta, I'm not exactly sure how servers work in terms of the speed. I don't know if George can enlighten us more. That's more like PC tech shite, but
Get along, console.
it's like
What's going on?
it's like 60. It was like 60. I don't know what MH said stand for. I think
Megahertz.
George it is megahertz, isn't it? Okay.
Mhm.
So there were 60 megahertz servers in the beta, and now they got downgraded to 20 megahertz. Which is
What does that mean for us then, Brody? You brought it up.
I don't know. I don't
Come on,
know. I
tech
just know that
man.
people were up in arms
You
about
basically
it.
just
I just
read
thought-
something and went, you know what? We should definitely talk about this without knowing our
Well,
information.
Already has the
Right.
Well,
knowledge.
this is Deserto, isn't it?
Fundamentally, what it means is it's kind of like the same comparison that you can draw between Counter-Strike and other computer game-based servers, which is like 64 versus 128 tick, where it's like you have generally better hit registration on 128 tick or the beta servers, you have generally better connection, it's a lot smoother in terms of it, you have more fluency with how you, in Counter-Strike for example, you can B-hop better and stuff like that. It's just generally a lot more of a clean-cut connection because it has more just information going through it at a faster refresh tick rate. And that's generally what it means by the megahertz for it as well. It's a similar thing, but it obviously works for consoles as far as I'm aware. So it generally comes down to hit detection, connection fairness for all players, and all that kind of business as well. And that's fundamentally, as far as I understand, what this server downgrade means. I can see why they do it, to be fair, because when the game's fully released, they're going to need more servers, and it may not be cost effective or even, particularly like a wise decision to have particularly expensive or fast running servers. So if you can go for what is acceptable, then I see no problem with that. And if you have like a few really good servers for hotspot regions like central UK or like eastern US or whatever, then I see no problem with that myself. But I completely understand why people are pissed about it.
I mean, like, I'm not going to moan about for the public match situation, but for competitive, it's a pretty damn big deal.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
I don't know what it
Yeah.
is in custom games, but in Infinite Warfare, the custom games for many months, and this was the case for the entirety of Modern Warfare Remastered, I think, or maybe they changed that at a similar time. It was 10 hertz in custom games
Yeah, that's
for like the
garbage.
whole year.
That's
And
garbage.
literally,
Yeah.
it would mean that if the tick on your screen had just happened and then the enemy flew around the corner, like he would see you way before you saw him. Like he would have like a 0.1 second advantage, which like, okay, 60 hertz, he gets a little bit of advantage. They call it peakers advantage in CSGO, right?
Mhm.
But like in COD, that was huge in Infinite Warfare. Like that's basically what they call cameraing people. And it just
Yeah.
gets worse and worse when the server rates are worse. And I feel like a lot of people feel cheated, right? Because they played the beta on 60 and now they're getting 20. And
Yeah.
like they feel like they've paid full price for a game that isn't the same.
Yeah. Does it affect hit detection?
Yes.
Would it affect?
Yes,
so,
it does.
I mean, Black Ops
Would
games are
explain why my
notorious for
sniper
that.
shots are not hitting.
Absolute. Well, sniper shot,
Yeah.
there is a problem with sniper shots actually, because I've seen it many posts on Reddit about sniper shots like slowed down or whatever and zoomed in that you can see they're not hitting where the reticle
What is this, like r/vac sucks or something? Is this are we gonna complain like how all of our shots aren't hitting now?
I mean, I would anyway, to be fair. But the thing is, if hit detection is being affected, we all know how bad hit detection is in Treyarch games. Treyarch games have notoriously the worst hit detection. They're the best games still, but their hit detection is trash. And 20 megahertz servers gonna make that entirely worse. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. If Chris's shots get magically better, we know the servers have been improved and upgraded back to 60 megahertz, but we're not sure about that. We'll move on then to our next.
Quickly, actually, what I want to know is how does someone find out this information? Why are Treyarch publishing the fact that they've downgraded their servers? Like that is not good PR.
I swear I saw a Reddit post about it. I don't think they. Yeah, I know.
How does he know? How does the cod burner know?
Like
He's
that.
everywhere.
I don't know.
It's that Battle Nonsense guy, right? He looks into all that.
What is he like? Is he like the Don Hassey of fucking Call of Duty?
No, he's a YouTuber, and for every single game he does like a tick rate analysis, and it's top tier. He does everything, and like he's known to be reliable on what he's talking about. So,
I mean, it's on Forbes, so
right.
Fair enough.
We'll move on.
Can't really argue with that, can we?
No. We'll move on to the next bit of information or news, as it were. So there was recently the biggest update, I think, to the game we've had since the very beginning. We were all hoping it would be a tune-in update, of course, because the ICR is the ICR. But we'll move on to that in just a moment. But we had the biggest update to the game so far, which was the introduction of the black market. So, of course, just like any other COD, black market has not been there at the start of the game. They finally brought it in. And this time with a Fortnite-esque battle pass, which is just kind of silly, really, for COD, isn't it?
Fuck Fortnite, by the way.
No,
I actually really like this system.
Do you?
Way better than the loot boxes they had previously. Because I bloody hate loot boxes. At least everything now is available to everyone. Instead of, spending money on boxes
to everyone,
and leaving it down to luck. But it is
available to everyone.
If you're good at the game, then you're rewarded.
What you mean to say is if you can spend 8 hours a day on the game.
No, right? Because they've lowered that. They've lowered the expectation.
It is a grind, isn't it?
They did say
isn't that the whole joy of Call of Duty being a grind?
They said it was 6 hours and 40 minutes a day to get to level 200. But they've now lowered that significantly because we played Blackout first thing this morning for
I think it might be a
Blackout hour or two.
Only thing though. I'm sure that it might Blackout will get you more XP towards those tiers than
it
multiplayer.
Does give you more.
Yeah, because I was going to say it wouldn't surprise me if it was geared towards Blackout players, because of course it's more like Fortnite-esque. Well, it's Battle Royale. It wouldn't surprise me. But the rewards, and again, I don't know if you guys have actually looked through the rewards in the Contraband stream, but the rewards are absolutely awful. It's like you'll get like one item. So it's like every. Well, I don't mind purely cosmetic. Don't get me wrong.
No, that's fine. Like obviously, but it's just like, is there a rarity factor? Like how?
No.
No.
Well, there is a rarity factor, but each item is literally just an emote, a spray, or like something from an item from the reserves, which I'm not sure what that is. It's like a supply drop, isn't it? Just basically the one thing in a supply drop, essentially.
So it's cosmetic.
Yeah,
so
it's all cosmetic though. Yeah, it's all cosmetic. But in a game, but there's like nearly not enough camos in there, for example. And I don't know if that's stuff that comes through the reserves. But there's like one, as far as I know for definite, there's one weapon variant, which again is just cosmetic, and that's level 200. And there's one Blackout character, which is level 199, which is a huge grind.
Well,
is it Mason?
Here's the thing that Treyarch games have always done. They've always planned their games to not be a year-long cycle. Like Black Ops 3 kept releasing content well into its second year and third year. Black Ops 2 was still played heavily into its second year. I mean, camos such as Afterlife and Weaponized 115 were released in second year of Black Ops 2. Yeah. So Treyarch clearly don't have plans to have their game for a 1 year cycle. Blackout is almost definitely going to keep this game alive for a good part of the next 100%. Couple of years, right?
Yeah.
So
it's unreal.
It's 100% 100%. I can understand this. Like, people are saying, oh, it's shit right now. Well, you're not going to have everything banging straight out on release, are you? Fortnite's been around for a year now, and they've accumulated loads and loads of different skins and loads of different cosmetic changes. It comes out with every update. So you can't... I mean, first things first. Like, the first Fortnite update, what you got? Skull Troop or whatever that fucking gay shit's called. It's just right there. And it's just like... And it's just like there is that one thing right there, and that's the first thing that's in there. But then they've upgraded it, so there's more stuff. You get like different ninja ones, you get like a dragon skin or whatever it is now. So I don't think we're in October. It's the same thing about the rule set. People are going way too early on this. There's going to be more stuff released for it. This battle pass is going to probably end up getting better longevity out of it, and probably end up being more value for money as time goes on, and you'll inevitably get rewarded for having it sooner.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what it's like. I think that the last point to make on it, I think, is that if you had the Black Ops Pass way back when they advertised the Black Ops Pass, they said they'd give you 10 tiers of progress off the start, so you automatically progress 10 tiers, and that's gone. That hasn't happened. So that was a thing. They did advertise that. 100%.
Never saw that advertised anywhere.
Yeah, I saw it, and then they deleted it.
Prove it.
Yeah, Pixar didn't happen.
Pixar didn't happen, bro.
Pixar didn't happen.
But it did happen. But sadly,
you can't prove that.
Not.
Yeah.
This isn't standing up in court.
maybe
That's unlucky.
Maybe I'm just like
you're tripping balls, mate.
But regardless, yeah, that's the contraband streams, and then of course there's that Halloween event alongside it, which is just sort of, it's not that bad, to be honest. It's fairly easy to get through. It's like a 7 to 10 day event, isn't it, or something like that?
Halloween. That's where Halloween is today. What's going on?
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, George, for that. So we'll move on to our next little news piece then, as it were. So believe it or not, our next news piece comes directly from Johnny W, which is
the man himself.
It's not about Johnny W. So it's not necessarily a news piece, but I think it's a talking point that should be talked about, as it were. That is a talking point. It's the ICR. So the ICR is, at the moment in time, the most powerful weapon in the game. Debatably, the SORG is, or the SAUG, however you want to say it, is up there as well. But the ICR is absolutely powerful, and double grip essentially eliminates all recall from the weapon. Every single bit of recall.
To be honest,
ridiculous.
It's still pretty strong without the double grip, but the double grip right now makes it so stupid, like, especially because it's a 5-shot kill to the body, but if you hit a single headshot, it's a 4-shot kill. So, and because it has no recoil at all, like, even being on a head glitch is quite often a disadvantage, because like if I'm on a head glitch trying to kill 2 people jumping out of me, by the time I've killed the first guy, the second guy's peeked and hit. Like, he doesn't have to use his thumbs after he puts the crosshair on my head. Like, it is pretty ridiculous, but I don't think it's the biggest issue. I don't know. Like, I mean, the SMGs need something of a buff, but I'm not going over the top on the ICR. Like, you can't really run 5 ICRs. It's just...
Or can you?
Here's my take
Tell
on
that
this.
to the bow.
Cast your mind back to 2015. Advanced Warfare has just come out, and we have a laser beam as the only weapon that people use. It's a 32 bullet ball assault rifle. You are beaming kids across the map while jumping 20 foot into the air.
Yeah, but the jumping makes a difference there, because like with the advanced movement games,
matter.
It does. Like, the jumping in those games meant that you could use an AR like an SMG. Like, the movement didn't matter.
Maddox.
Whereas in this game, okay, the Maddox is a little bit different, but in this game you cannot run around with the ICR like you're using a sub. Or like you're using a Maddox.
Even then, think back to the start of Black Ops 2, and what was the OP weapon on release? The PD fucking W. Right? Remember
I got banned
that?
Immediately.
I got banned hella fast.
Well, so it was off for the first event, wasn't it?
It was on for the first event. It got nerfed pretty much after. It got banned, then nerfed, and then unbanned again. So it was banned for the best part of like a week. So I don't doubt that Treyarch have seen the ICR and they've gone, right, that shit is gonna go.
Some form of nerf.
Yeah, they have said they're looking at tuning. They're just not doing anything.
You know what Treyarch famously do? Every time that there's an overpowered weapon in a Call of Duty game that is made by Treyarch, they crucify it. It gets absolutely crucified. It goes from one extreme to another. The Vesper was OP on release in Black Ops 3, got crucified, and then resurrected into being a god tier weapon again. So
for like 1 week.
For like 2 weeks at least.
Yeah.
I remember getting shredded by it on GBs, and the man I
What are they gonna do with the ICR though? What is the nerf?
It's recoil.
I think it's grip. Honestly, I think
recoil's
the problem
pointless
is
enough because like
grip
you
2 needs
need
to
a
be
low
gone.
recoil gun.
Grip 2 needs to go or be completely or be nerfed heavily. I mean, grip 2, the fact that there's no recoil on grip 2, like none, it's silly. Like recoil is one of the biggest factors in balancing
It's like imagine the AK in CS having absolutely no spray pattern. Like that's what it's like.
Yeah. It's
You
ridiculous.
to make it like, do you remember in Advanced Warfare there was like a gun called the Pie Take? It was an LMG, and after the first 10 shots, it was a complete laser, like no recoil at all.
It's like the Negev
the
in
first 10
CS.
shots,
Then.
it kicked a bit. Yeah, I guess like the Negev in CS right now. Like if they, and it's kind of like that in this game to an extent. I think after you ADS with the ICR Grip 2, there's a delay before it becomes full laser. But if they made that delay from when you start shooting for like 5-6 bullets, then maybe that's slightly more reasonable.
What, like they did with the AN94 fire rate back in the day or something like that, where it's faster for the first couple of bullets.
Yeah, but then the AN94 was fine, wasn't it? It was
balanced.
A good weapon.
Yeah,
it was balanced. It was absolutely balanced. Something needs to be done, though. I do feel something needs to be done. Chris, what's your thoughts on the matter?
I agree.
You were sitting there quietly. I was waiting for something.
I thought he had some baller as fuck comment laid out. I thought he was gonna come in hot.
Yeah, he was like, I'll say something in a moment. No, he's just, I agree.
I'm just responding to DMs. I completely agree that something needs to be done about the ICR. I think yes, getting rid of the double grip will certainly help, but even with the single grip, it's still way too easy to use. There's no real recoil on it whatsoever. I think the only thing that needs to be done is the spray pattern that needs to be re-looked at, and the recoil definitely has to be more consistent in a way where it's actually more random, if that makes sense.
I mean, they've got predictive recoil in this game, and it actually is legit. But the only guns you can actually take advantage of it on are the SMGs, because like the SAUG, right? It goes up and to the left every time, like pretty big kick actually to the left. Like you can actually take advantage of that if you're skilled with it. But the ARs, like they shake a little and they go up. That's it. There's nothing to control. Like I don't know, man. If you're gonna make a game with predictive recoil, it would make sense to actually have some recoil in the game so that the better players would be able to take advantage of it. But right now with the assault rifles, there's no skill gap in controlling the recoil.
Well, something I said actually a few days, well, I don't know if it's a few days now, a couple of weeks ago, was that movement speed might just be the key to solving the AR problem. Because in my experience, if you were to slow down how quickly you can run with ARs, then it would change the role of ARs pretty much completely. Because at the moment, if you have an assault rifle, you have an ICR, you can run into a hill at the same speed as you would with an SMG.
Yeah, it's like 95% right now.
Yeah, an ADS at the same speed and get the same kills. And the gun's more powerful as well. Like I think that's where the problem lies.
I mean, the sprint out's a little slow, but you can put gung ho on, and then it
exactly
it makes that a lot nicer.
Yeah, I think that might be where the problem lies, is movement speed. But something needs to be done, and I don't want this game to become an AR fest. That's what I really don't want. I don't want it to become, but if it does, it might benefit some teams. We'll see. George has something to say.
I'll make a point about that, because no Treyarch game to this point has ever been an AR fest, right? In my opinion, every Treyarch game so far, competitively wise, most weapons, I'd say probably 80% of weapons that are obviously SMGs, ARs, shotguns, whatever, not LMGs, not anything that's banned, but like available weapons in competitive meta are genuinely like reasonably viable. You had at least 2 SMGs you could use in Black Ops 3. You had at least 4 SMGs you could use in Black Ops 2. You had 2 main assault rifles in Black Ops 2. There's a case to be made for the Scar H and everything like that. You have a wide weapon variety, and I think Treyarch, usually on release, they do have one ridiculously blinder of a mistake, such as the Vesper, the PDW, anything like all the fucking ridiculous sway on sniper rifles in Black Ops 1. Like they have some blunder when they open the game, when the game comes out. Usually they're pretty good at tuning. I'd say they're probably the best development studio at tuning. Not like fucking Sledgehammer, who just make 2 fucking guns to be the only 2 guns that we can use throughout the whole year. The BAL and the ASM-1. Let's just do that. Let's just use the bar and the PPSH. Fantastic. Well done, guys.
It is quite funny, actually. You just pointed that out. The fact that both Sledgehammer games have literally 1 SMG and 1 AR.
And then if you gentlemen's agreement the bar, then you're using the STG. It's literally, it's ridiculous. You gentlemen's agreement anything else on the AW as well. well. The ICR or whatever it's called, the IMR, that was gone.
To be fair though, AEW was probably the first game where gentlemen's agreements became pretty like big. Like
Well,
people
in
were doing
Black
it
Ops
very
2,
often.
no one was gentlemen's
Yeah.
agreeing anything. It was just banned or it wasn't, and people would
But-
just use it or they wouldn't. Sentry
then
guns
that
were
game was good.
ridiculous. Guardians were ridiculous. Both of those should have been gone halfway through the year at least, and they were still in before like 3 months
That
before the
was
cycle
insane.
ended.
Yeah, it was what was it? It's G1, wasn't it, when they were first
Yeah.
banned because it was a Gfinity rule set that did it.
It was G2 or G3 or something. It wasn't G1. It was available for G1.
I don't know, but regardless, I mean that's besides the point. So something needs to be done. We'll see what is done about it. There's still a lot of time for Treyarch to work with. The game is still in its infancy. We're definitely in the early stages of the game at the moment, and it's still being formulated. I have no doubt in my mind, given Treyarch's history, especially like you said, George, in comparison to Sledgehammer games or even Infinity Ward.
Infinity War, where it's not even just one assault rifle and one sub, it's just one sub. It's the fucking Vector, boys.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, we're not going to talk about that. But something will be done. Treyarch are not bad developers whatsoever.
No, they're good at balancing. They use their data that they collect wisely, and the thing is, they actually look at the data as well, which I'm absolutely convinced that Sledgehammer don't. And nor do Infinity
Three in a
Ward.
thousand, boys.
I know. It's just I personally think that the meta is fine as long as the ICR just gets like nerfed slightly, and the subs get buffed. Like the subs in themselves, they don't have enough damage or something like that. I don't really know what the problem is, but I've been watching a lot of comp stuff. I've been watching a lot of Clayster streams, different like Zoomer streams, and all this kind of stuff as well. And I've just been seeing that SMGs, there's like one which people are kind of using, which isn't very good. In when you're coming up against ICRs or Maddoxes in straight up gunfights, you're just losing every time. But if you can flank or something quickly, then you're fine. But
I think it's ridiculous how the subs almost across the board killing 6 shots at point blank. Like the ICR can kill you in 4 bullets point blank, and like the Maddox, I don't know, maybe the Maddox. I think the Maddox is 5, but 6 shots at point blank for a sub is pretty ridiculous.
That's also a slow time to kill as well. Ridiculously slow time to 6 kill, for a sub. I mean, throwback to the MSMC for a second, where it was like solidly, consistently 4 to 5 shots to kill.
Yeah,
most times.
It's good.
Like, I think that's fine. 4 shots up close is fine. I mean, if you want to speed up the game, you turn everything into a 4 or 5 shot kill rather than making it 6.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see your issue with this. The SMGs. I think the Sorg is elite.
Yeah, but then you don't have any other subs. You've only got the Sorg.
We don't want that.
To be fair, you've only ever used one sub in history. Like, what games is that?
Except for Call of Duty Ghosts.
Black
Ops
2. Black Ops 2, you used the Scorpion.
You could make an argument for the MTAR, but it wasn't used in Respawn. The MTAR-X silence.
Some other subs.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, like, I don't want a 1 sub 1 AR meta. That's
it won't happen.
It's not going to be 1 AR. Like, you have 2 ARs.
You'll have at least 2 or 3 ARs. I guarantee it.
I mean, George is right. Like, we're 2 weeks in the game,
like,
man.
Even the sword, like, I'd love to see like the swordfish or the ABR to come out and.
I swear what's the burst one called? Is that a swordfish?
That's the swordfish.
Yeah, I swear people were using that at the start, and then they all of a sudden decided that the ICR is god tier. Like the
ICR is better. Like,
I know the ICR is better, but think of every Treyarch title. How many? Like, they've always had at least one burst assault rifle which is viable. MAA1, MAA7. Like, there's going to be a swordfish.
You need to put the damn operator mod on the swordfish to make it viable, because for some reason they've made it so that the ABR, the 3-shot, it cannot 1 burst. Like, it's a 4-shot kill. The swordfish is a 5-shot kill, but it's 4 burst. Like, you have to put the operator mod on the swordfish, make it a 5-round burst for it actually to be viable at all. Or the time to kill is just shit.
Yeah,
it's like, it's just pointless.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't really know.
Ultimately, that's what needs to happen. Isn't it? Like, you need to be able to at least 1 burst people if you do land every single bullet. I mean, the M8, both versions of the M8 could 1 burst people if you landed every bullet. But how frequently did you land all 4 bursts of it? All 4 bullets of an M8 burst? Like, very infrequently. And how often would you 1 burst?
Well, it doesn't matter if you're, Jesus.
I'm kidding.
Oh, I'm sorry. What?
I'm kidding. We all saw you in that Black Ops 2 throwback. It was bad. Anyway,
I was good at the capture the flag. Everything else, I was terrible.
Yeah, okay.
Because capture the flag was my jam back in the day.
That's why your team didn't win.
Oh.
I'm joking. I'm kidding. I'm sorry, Chris. I'm sorry.
He can't hear you. He's gone.
Chris, no, not the. Oh no.
And there he goes. He's out the door.
Just showing. Oh, okay. Well, it's. I mean, it's fine. He's gonna come back.
Eventually, you hope he will.
He will come back. He has to
Like,
come back.
Carry on, Brody. Come on.
Anyway, regardless, we'll move into our next segment. Apologies, I need a drink. We'll move into our next segment, where we get to plug the ACL. So essentially, we get to talk to you about current signups to the ACL, what's going on. So for those of you who don't know, the Esports Universe have come up with an amazing 6K Winter Championship as part of their £20,000
Nobody cares.
Arena Call of Duty League. Chris, that's the wrong time. You're on an Esports Universe podcast, and we're plugging Esports Universe. So if you guys want to sign up, tickets right now are £65. The Winter Championship, I believe, I'm not sure on the exact date start, but pool play will start at some point. The first 5K
is this Saturday.
This Saturday. So both George and myself will be casting that. We'll have some other casters doing some early rounds as well. So George is just no, but George and I will definitely be there doing that.
I'll cast the whole fucking thing.
So don't worry, guys, that will be casted. But if you guys are interested in signing up, it's espuarena.com. I believe the full web address will be in the chat. I think it's espuarena.com/ACL/winter-champs. And you guys can get yourselves over there. We have already Legion Gaming signing up. That's currently on screen, I believe. George is
flicking through.
I believe he's flicking through. I saw it. And you guys can bag yourself some really, really cool digital cards, or as Johnny W has branded them, top trumps. So yeah, they're pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. I can't wait for to get mine from Esports Universe. I will get one. We're gonna get one, George.
Limited edition. Yeah,
Limited edition. We're gonna get shinies.
Oh, dog. That's right. Level X. That's me all over.
A shiny.
Yeah.
99 attack.
Blue eyes, white dragon, motherfuckers out here. Let's go.
Jesus Christ.
Are you okay?
There it is. This is the bit where I shut up. Let them do the plug.
Yeah. Just let it happen.
We did say, guys, we're going to plug halfway through, so shut up. So far, I believe we've had, I don't know.
There's been a lot. I know that Void have signed up. I signed that up.
Yeah, I mean, I know when I did like research, like at least 6, like I know loads and loads of teams were interested and they're all ready for the team tickets to come out. So they are now out, guys. They're £65 right now, but there's only a limited number left at that price. So if you are interested in copping them at a discounted price, you need to get on the Esports Universe Arena website now. I think that's done for our plug. Is that our plug done now? That's our plug done. We can stop plugging now.
You can go back to actually talking shit. There we go.
Okay. All right, guys, we get back to talking shit now. We can move on to our big question for this week. So somewhat related to our earlier discussion. And if you guys want to get involved in the discussion as well, please feel free to do so with the hashtag ESPUasks. And of course, you can get involved in the chat as well. So we'll be reading your comments and taking them into discussion throughout this. But our big question this week is, of course, what will the CWL rule set look like? And now we can start to discuss it. So
nothing like the one you drew up, mate.
Nothing like the one that I drew up. We had major complaints. Tom was whining his ass off before the fucking thing was even out. But we'll move on from that. Regardless, so where are we going with the CWL rule set? What needs banning? Because one of the biggest discussions that we've seen is, should specialists even be allowed at all?
Yes.
I mean, they are going to be, so it's not actually. I feel like it's almost not worth
Try telling youth players that.
Again, youth players, shut up! You're not old enough to play the game.
Oh my god!
Like, chill.
You're triggering the community.
It's a realistic question because I don't think they add anything to competitive, but they're gonna be there. I mean, at least in the current state, like the ones we have right now. I thought that Black Ops 3. Okay, Black Ops 3. You take out Heatwave. You take out Camo, say they just weren't in the game, then the rest of them would be fun, like Psychosis, Glitch, those ones.
Did you not like those two?
Fun additions.
No, Heatwave and Camo were fucking broken.
You
can't make an argument to say that active Camo on Uplink was not a guaranteed 2-pointer every single fucking
time.
Oh
no, it was. Don't get me wrong, but they were still in the game, and I don't think it was that bad of a game. I think Black Ops 3 was quite fun without Camo Heatwave.
I mean, it wasn't the end of the world.
Heatwave was
tragic. One finals. That was amazing.
Heatwave was tragic. It changed the course of an S&D with a single Heatwave. I'm not even kidding. Like, it was just a guarantee kill.
No, I can see that. Yeah.
You can't
have one person can have Heatwave and just be like walk into
a site.
And then some guy has to be stuck with Psychosis and just like and they just fall off the map if you're playing Redwood. You know what I mean? Like it feels pretty ridiculous how one player gets that kind of advantage. So I mean, look, I feel like Black Ops 4 has somehow managed to get the specialist even worse. And not only do you get a major one, you also get some other shit on the side, which like for pubs, I have no motivation to play pubs right now because I know that I'm just gonna run into some guy calling a dog, which he didn't even earn. He just sits in a corner and he gets it anyway.
Yeah,
like,
no.
What does that make any sense?
Well,
I have no idea what I'm thinking.
Well, this is the issue with Black Ops 4, right? One of the key things you always need to take into account when you're talking about rule sets is this item counterable? And none of those specialists are counterable. They're literally not.
Isn't that the point of the specialist, though?
This is what I'm about to say is that they're not intended to be counterable. And they're even worse. They're more powerful. They're completely uncounterable.
Like you look at something like League, right? The special, like the characters.
You're
they
talking
have
about
their
League of
counters,
Legends here, right?
Yeah, League of Legends.
okay.
Yeah, like the characters you have or the champions, whatever you have. Like other alternatives that kind of counter them to some extent.
Hell yeah,
Whereas in Black Ops 4, every character is just its own beast that does its own things. There's no like, oh, he picked fucking Firebreak. Let me pick like the water character, whatever the hell, to try and counter him, whatever. There's none of that.
Marvel hero strike.
So all of a sudden we turn into Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah, man, I'm playing Pokemon out here.
Well, this is one of the things. So it's a question now of those specialists are not changing. There's no way you can nerf the specialists.
You can.
Really... Well, you can make them.
If you can nerf the ICR, you can nerf a specialist.
If you nerf the specialists, you make them pointless. You can raise the time it takes to get them, so you literally only get them once every match. Maybe that's one way to nerf them. But like, specialists are the foundation for Black Ops 4. I think that's undeniable. I think the amount of emphasis they absolutely are. The emphasis
is just in love with them for some reason.
Yeah, Treyarch have
it's
made.
Because I can tell you exactly the reason why. David Vonderhaar loves Destiny, and Destiny, you can look at the fucking LB things from that, and you can literally directly transfer the ones that were in that game into Black Ops 3. So you have the Ground Slam as a Titan, that's your grav spikes.
The Annihilator, man.
You have the Annihilator, that's your Golden Gun as the Hunter. You have the fucking Bow and Arrow, that's the Electric Hunter thing, where it's like the Sparrow. It's literally like some of them are legitimately pound for pound ripped from Destiny, and it is absolutely hilarious, but they love it.
Yeah. I mean,
they made the Annihilator more OP as well. It's pretty ridiculous. Like Black Ops 3, it was decent, but the Tempest was better.
It was completely viable and competitive, by the way. It got taken to town by the fucking Tempest, by the Scythe, by everything like that.
Yeah, well now the Tempest is shit.
The Tempest is shit, and now the Annihilator, you just semi-auto. Like, you don't even have to cock it like you did in Black Ops 3. And also, because they've changed the way the Specialist works, you now get 6 shots guaranteed, whereas in Black Ops 3, if you waited too long, your timer would run down to the point where you didn't get all 6 shots, basically. So, I mean, they've buffed that. The specialists in general seem way more prevalent. Like in pubs, usually it wouldn't affect you too much in Black Ops 3, whereas in this game, Jesus, like every fucking 30 seconds I'm getting hit with a Seeker shock drone.
Yeah, Chris, what was your solution to this then? You seem to have a solution. You seem to say that you want to have these nerfs. So what is Chris Stealth's solution to specialists?
So here we are. Hear me out on this one. So this one comes at 2 angles. So you've got one of the angles where people don't particularly enjoy the specialists, and you've also got another angle where people don't like score streaks. Now, what if? Now, bear with me. The specialist works more as a score streak. So you would actually have to build up points to be able to get towards the specialist instead of actually building up for a score streak instead. So you'd say you have to get up to 1,000 points. You unlock your specialist from there. And then you only get that one use in that one entire game mode.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then that's it, over and done with. The rest of it is just played, boots on the ground, standardized gameplay.
For me,
I like streaks.
Yeah.
Streaks. I think streaks need to be in it. Facts. Streaks are integral to Black Ops titles, I think.
Yeah, same. Well, I mean, we'll get to streaks in a minute, but specialists, for me, at the very least, right? I absolutely think when Chris says that specialists should only be earned once every game, you should only get 1 usage. I absolutely agree with that. And if I'm perfectly honest with you, I don't know what it is in me that thinks that I'd like to see specialists be played in competitive, but if they are supposedly this foundation that Treyarch wants us to try and really wants us to see how they go, Some of them I think are ridiculous, and I think even one usage would be fucking stupid. Like the K9 unit is just it's the fact that it's like literally not killable is like that's what's dumb about
It's
it.
the fact that it doesn't have a skill gap. That's my problem. Like the shit that you can call in, and it doesn't add to the skill difference at all. I don't mind like something like a glitch. I kind of like it because you pop the glitch, and the better players will actually make use of it better. Stuff like that I don't mind too much. But something like the dog or even the vision pulse, like the vision pulse in Black Ops 3, where only you get it.
Be used in competitive. You've got to realize.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm just saying, like,
basically based on public games. They're just basically used just for the public to enjoy. The ones that are going to be used competitively have a use. There are ones in there that can genuinely be used and are actually good. But the ones that you're putting out there, so the dog, for instance, fucking awful in public, so I hate it on passion, will never make it past even the first alpha stage of the CWL rule set. They would immediately have banned that out, along with the Vision Pulse.
Yeah,
the
but when
recon specialist is gone. He was out the door before he even opened up the fucking
but then
it's
the question. Well, yeah, this is what I actually agree with Rab here on this one, because I think Treyarch are going to push it. I think, from our perspective, let's ban this shit.
Do you remember Black Ops 3 with Ban and Protect? And they were like, okay, we'll bring Ban and Protect in. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. They thought Ban and Protect was a dual dual window.
Yeah, they thought Ban and Protect was going to be the answer to gentlemen's agreements and banning shit.
You don't need to ban anything because the pros will just ban the UAV. Well, like, did they not think through it for more than 10 seconds? Some random amateur kid can he's absolutely cracked out on Adderall and he protects UAV at the first. and then what game am I playing? Come on.
You can't prepare for that. You can't prepare for it.
Exactly.
Playing a different game.
Well, this is the issue, right? It's easy for us to sit here and say this should not be banned in the CWL rule set, or this should be banned in the CWL rule set. Unfortunately, the mindsets of those who have power are a little bit more lenient than we are. I feel like when it comes to what's being banned, I do agree with Rab in saying that recon will not get banned fully. It won't. It will get past the ban, and it will stay in the rule set. Whether or not that's gentleman agreements is a different thing altogether.
Man.
Just in chat, just looking at chat here, by the way, Gadge is saying that just remove specialists from com because they're annoying and stupidly overpowered. Now, right, my take on this is that specialists, right, for S&D, right, specialists are fucking ridiculous. If it goes to a round 11 and you've been saving your heatwave all fucking game, you are winning that round 11 and there is nothing the enemy team can do to stop that. There is nothing they're going to be able to do. I'm sorry. For that reason, like, specialists can be so game-changing in places where they literally don't even reward any sort of tactical use or any sort of skillful use of them. I just don't think they're viable for a competitive format. Now, sure, okay, if you have ones that aren't lethal or ones that can't, change the course of a game, but can certainly give your team a boost or something like that. Like, say, for example, I think League of Legends Ultimates or Overwatch Ultimates are a pretty good example because a single ultimate in either of those games is not going to change the pace of the game from one character. Yeah. But if, because the game goes on longer and they're not as ridiculously overpowered, like, it's just not gonna happen like that. But the thing is, in a game like this where 150 HP, you have to stim yourself, it's so fast paced, you don't have time to react to an ultimate coming in towards you. I just don't know if specialist survival. I 100% think score streak should be in. Abso-fucking-lutely. Because if you get a score streak, you've earned that score streak. You have stayed alive for 450, 600 points, 700 points. That's pretty good going. To get a specialist, though, you literally just have to sit in a corner. Like, it's not rewarding.
No.
There is no tactical...
Is it like that in Black Ops 3? Because I remember Black Ops 4, because Infinite Warfare, they had it where you had to, like, it didn't build up over time.
Even still, anyway. It's an inevitability. It's like a support streak. It's like a support streak from MW3. It's an inevitability that you're going to get.
And there was a reason. There was a reason that support streaks were banned because streaks were banned in MW3, but it's Infinity War games, but especially so. Let's ask this question now between all of us here. If we were to have complete power over the rule set, would we ban specialists as a collective?
Yes.
So George says yes. Chris says no. Aaron, where are you on this?
In Black Ops 3, I would ban select ones and leave some of them in.
I'd agree with that.
In this game, it's tough to do because, like, what do I do? If I ban a specialist, they can't use their equipment or they can't use their ultimate, or the fact that they have two things is so ridiculous. Like it just
like the fucking grapple, the seeker shit,
Yeah,
with the
that's
Tempest
them
guy
too,
and stuff
yeah.
like
very
that.
far
Yeah,
away from actually gun skill and who's got better team play.
yeah.
When
Yeah.
I just
specialists
get rid of it
just
all.
rule the game right
Get rid of it
now.
all.
Yeah. So
Like-
so you're saying all of it's gone.
In Black Ops 4, I think it would play better without specialists.
No, I
Okay.
agree.
That's,
I agree.
that's my, that's
Yeah,
my stance.
I'm of the mindset where
Black Ops
it's
4,
like
whatever it's
I
called.
would like to see Black Ops 4 every specialist used or none at all.
That's a good point.
I'm
I mean,
leaning
I can't
towards-
have every specialist.
on.
Like that's out the window.
That's a good point.
So-
GCG, George, I think it is off Twitter.
be
Specialists should be in respawn, but shouldn't be in S&D. Now, debate that.
I don't think you can have one or the other. I think you've just got to
No.
have it full on. No, it doesn't work like that. You can't turn them off for S&D. Like this, I don't think people really understand the full concept of the fact that specialists are literally the foundation of Black Ops 4. They're exactly what I think Treyarch have built maps for. They're literally how the whole game is built, is meant for specialists.
No,
Like,
I
they are.
really
They are.
disagree. We've been
I
playing.
don't want them to.
We've been playing without specialists for the first 2 weeks of this rule set, and people on the whole seem to be incredibly happy
No,
about it.
don't get me wrong. I'm not
So
saying
it's
the game doesn't work
it's not
without
changing the
specialists.
integral game
No.
mechanics at all.
We
George,
should
I
let
don't think
Chris
you
give
understand
his
what I'm
points.
saying.
He looks eager to tell us what we're
Chris,
wrong.
explain what you're going to say.
You're all wrong.
Okay.
But basically, right. Look, I agree with actually. For once, I actually agree with Brody. The game is built around the specialists, and you can tell that from the get-go. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So by getting rid of the specialists, you take away a tactical ability that that you have at your disposal. Yes, they can be overpowered, but at the same point, they're there to help turn the tide in a dire situation. Now, I get it in the respawns; they make complete sense. Search and destroy. If you remember from Black Ops 3, you didn't actually really get the opportunity to get your specialist abilities that often. If I remember correctly,
especially if
only
they
a
were
select
weapons.
few. Yeah,
Weapons,
only
you
a select
didn't
few
get them
were,
at
Yeah,
all.
you couldn't use
were
weapons.
available. So therefore, your kind of argument of saying it should only really be in respawn is kind of already valid, because 9 times out of 10, you're not really going to be able to build up enough points or even enough time to get into that sort of specialist ability area. Now, when they do happen, you're gonna have to expect that, and you have to work a way around it, which is what makes the game more tactical. Now, if you throw that all away and you just make it just a boots on the ground Call of Duty, I think you take away some of the fun that you get to see using these abilities, and I don't think that's right.
Just
Yeah.
I understand that. Like, there is definitely an element of excitement that comes from using the specialists in the right way. It's just when
For
you
a
have
viewing
specialists which are
experience, yes,
borderline
but from
uncounterable.
yeah.
I mean,
then
all of them are not even borderline.
all
all of
are.
them
They're all
uncountable.
completely uncountable.
They're meant to be.
they're not
Yeah,
all
definitely.
they
It's
are,
like a
they are.
one-off use.
Okay, Talk puts down a barricade, you throw a grenade at it and it explodes. Like, that's not that bad.
It doesn't
And it's
explode
same with
when a
the
nade
barbed
lands in it. It takes its damage.
Yeah,
So
but
it-
I mean,
it takes
okay,
it-
for,
Okay, yeah, okay. It's not
Ajax or
like
whatever the hell
it's not
does
like,
it.
for example,
The
let's give it.
shield with the fucking pistol. Like,
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, but that's gone. Like, I can
that's
tell you that now.
uncounterable.
That's gone.
Yeah, well, it needs to go. So.
But it is counterable actually
Yeah,
by
well-
using Battery's War Machine. It actually destroys
Yeah,
it.
but you can't just pull a war machine out.
Yeah,
your
it's
ass.
like
Yeah,
it's
but
like it's like perfectly. So what are you doing? The whole game you're waiting for this motherfucker to pull out his riot shield and his pistol so you can use your war
Yeah, but-
machine to counter him
Yeah.
once. Like,
It's
what's the point
countering
in that?
specialist abilities with other specialist abilities.
But then you
And
get
like,
no
that's
use
the
out of
way
your
that-
fucking specialist.
It's an overpowered ability.
Then
the
you-
only
then
way
you-
you're gonna be able to counter
literally,
it
you
is with
just-
another
You
overpowered
just
ability.
end up counter picking each other for the whole point of the You might as well not have them if you're just going to use them against what each other's specialists.
Yeah. So let's just go off the basis then. On this point at the very least, we'll end it here with the specialist topic. We'll move on to other little bits and bobs in a minute. So we're saying most of us here feel that specialists should either. I mean, personally for me, specialists need to all be in the game, every single one, or they all need to be gone. And I'm leaning towards the latter. Aaron, you said no specialists in Black Ops 4.
I mean, like, I don't want them to be there, but they will be
But
there.
they will,
Yeah,
they
there's
will be there.
something
We
you can
know.
do about
Let's
it.
just be clear about this. We're not thinking that specialists won't be in there. We know they will be. We just don't want them to be. And George, you're also of the mindset that specialists need to be gone. Chris, you're sort of the odd one out here in saying that you do feel like you kind of want specialists in, and I absolutely understand that decision, that opinion, because I think I was of that at one point as well. So we'll move on then from specialists to score streaks. So we said we talk about score streaks. So score streaks are one that I spoke at length with you about, Chris. I did with Chris about score streaks. Personally, for me, I love score streaks in competitive.
Absolutely.
Like I love the fact that score streaks are competitive. They're so fun. They're so rewarding, and rightfully so. But it seems like in this game, at the very least, so far players have pretty much wanted to ban every single score streak.
No,
from the banned list.
Is that what it's looking like?
Yeah.
Well, there's like 8 to 9 score streaks that have been banned, I think, if I'm right in saying that. And there's not that many more in the game. And I can guarantee you there'll be more. Like,
I mean, you only need a few, don't you? Like, you just need...
well,
I mean,
but then
yeah,
you-
realistically,
like,
what did people use for the whole year of Black Ops 2 and 3? Lightning Strike, Hellstorm, Stealth Chopper, or Lightning Strike, HCXD,
Oh, an HC,
Hellstorm?
yeah. Or RC at the time.
that is a good point actually, George. That there is already a very small pick of score streaks, but I'd
Or what
rather the
else?
variation of
Dart
the game.
or Hunter Killer Drone or whatever it was back in the time?
Well, yeah,
Oh, man,
Hunter Killer Drone
Hunter
probably
Killer,
got
like,
banned.
Hunter Killer Drone
Just-
got banned. Right, fair
Yeah.
enough.
Well,
First
Dart
event
isn't
was
banned at the moment.
first event with Hunter Killer Drone was hilarious. Like literally go on a 5-kill streak, yeet,
Yeah.
and that's 2 kills right
You
there.
throw it into like a closed space
man.
as well, and then it would go, still do its thing. But score streaks at the moment, we can all agree that there are base score streaks that need to be banned.
UAV,
right? I
can
think there
UAV
are
VSAT?
UAV, care package,
Stuff that's always been banned. Stuff that's always been banned.
AI players like Strike Team, right?
Oh, get
needs
that
to
out of
go.
there.
I don't...
Right?
Yeah. So I'm looking
Go on,
down
go
on
on.
it now, right? So VSAT's not even in the game. Like, so
No.
UAV is banned. Obviously makes sense. Like, it's just way too much of an advantage for the small amount of points it gives. And like, my main point, the way I like decide whether things are viable or not is when you call it in, is there like a skill gap in calling it in? Like something like a lightning strike, if you fuck it up, you'll kill your team and shit like that. The UAV, there's never any downside of calling it in.
Yeah.
And so, okay, UAV, care package, counter UAV, and then currently Mantis, Sniper's
Yeah.
Nest, Attack Chopper, and Strike Team. are all
And
banned.
these the ones, so the latter ones, not Strike Team. I'll add. I think everyone unanimously can say Strike Team is bullshit and should
Strike
never
Team
be
should
in.
go.
I mean, if you get
bans,
one of
there's
them,
no,
like the game's over, man.
Strike-
yeah, I've
Strike
got
Team's
so
basically-
many in pubs, and there's
Strike
no
Team's
point.
basically just like a K9 unit on crack.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
So we can all agree Strike Team ban, but the ones where there is a discussion to be had, I feel, are on Mantis, Sentry
So
Gun.
where's the Sentry Gun, man?
It
So
is
Sentry Gun isn't banned right now, but Sentry
People will want
Gun,
that banned.
Mantis, Attack Chopper, and what was the Sniper's Nest? Those are the 4 that I feel there is a conversation to be had about. Should those be banned?
Sentry
Now-
Gun's been banned in every COD that's had
I mean,
score streaks with Sentry
actually, I'll tell you what. The Attack Chopper and the Sniper's Nest, I don't mind too much.
Yes.
But the Mantis, there's no EMPs.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing, right?
Gun. Yeah, there's no
Because
counter again.
there's
You
been-
can't have
there's
something you
been-
can't counter.
Yeah. There's
Unless
been
you
so
put
many
perk on,
like,
but like, I mean, that
different
seems a bit...
opinions.
No.
There's so many
know.
different opinions, right? Because something for me, at the very least, has always been, I feel like if something's counterable, if there is a way to counter something, it shouldn't be banned. That's the way I've always looked at it, unless it's like majorly overpowered to the point where it's ridiculously like broken, right? But the Mantis at the moment isn't actually that bad when it's AI controlled. But if you go into it, then it becomes overpowered as shit. But
exactly,
then to do
like-
that, you have to take yourself out of the game. So there is a sort of...
But
I
the thing
guess,
is with the
just-
Mantis, like, if there's no EMP,
It's the same
Then-
thing as the AGR
then
from
you have
Black
to
Ops
run
2.
cold-blooded or whatever the perk is, which means
AGR wasn't
they
banned,
take
was it?
control of it.
No,
like,
it wasn't banned. But
Yeah,
it wasn't.
exactly.
It
No, it
wasn't
wasn't
nearly
banned.
as good as the Mantises, and you could
That's
EMP
true.
it.
you
I don't know.
could kill it
As an
really
AI, as
easily,
an
actually,
AI,
AGR,
yeah,
whatever.
that's the difference. Actually, I do feel you're right there, Aaron. I feel like the Mantis is harder to kill. It's more armored, but as like an AI controlled bot, as just an AI sort of like tank, as it were, I think it's exactly the same in terms of the amount of damage it does when it's not controlled by a person.
I see Reese in the chat
I
also
don't know, man, I
saying the
just run
counter to
away
it's
from
just this. Reese in the chat saying the counter to it's just pull out a launcher. But how many times have you seen fucking launchers be allowed in comp?
Well, this is the no, but this is
that's
the
a fair
problem.
point, like-
When you ban a counter, that's when you fuck the game. This is why I made such a big argument when I spoke to Esports Universe about not banning the launchers, because I don't think I've ever once seen a launcher be used to rocket launcher a hill. No one's gonna run a launcher to run into the hill and rocket launcher it. I've never
mean,
seen it once.
You have seen the amateur scene, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've
to be
casted the hours
fair,
for
to be
for 2
fair,
years, and I
mate,
haven't seen it.
someone somewhere. You know who it's gonna be? It's gonna be Adam Killer Sloss. He's gonna do it. Sloss Boss is gonna come on in with a
Yeah.
fucking rocket launcher and fuck up
Yeah.
your hard point.
Well, and this is a good point. So Gadget's just made a really good point in the chat, right? So Gadget's just said, if you can get a chopper by slaying that much, you should be good enough to win the map without it.
Absolutely. But
So there's a
even
point.
still, I think you should be
mean-
rewarded for slaying that much. Like
Yeah,
if
what's
you
the
go
point
on a
there?
11,
I don't
12 kill
know
streak,
what
however
his
much
point
it's
is,
worth,
really.
or you get the score for it, I think you
Yeah.
should be allowed it. I mean, think of the stealth chopper in Black Ops 2. That was fine.
Yeah, I feel like that's the comparison to make, right? There are comparable score streaks in previous games. So you have the AGI for the Mantis. And when you compare them, the Mantis is way more armored. It's harder to take down. You basically need either a launcher or cold-blooded to outrun it, essentially, right? So Mantis, is it bannable?
Yes.
It's a bannable item. I feel like I'd be fine with it being banned. I'd rather it not.
don't
But if
really-
it's
I don't know,
banned,
man. I don't know why
it's
EMPs
fine.
are in the game. I don't know why
EMPs not being in the game are fucking the game.
like,
Really
like what's
bad.
going on there? I don't
EMP
understand.
should
Why
be
would
in
they
the game.
remove it? Like, smokes are in Blackout. And I mean,
Yeah.
EMPs were perfect in Black Ops 3, like absolutely perfect. They didn't have the biggest range. They didn't stun you for 15 seconds like Black Ops 2.
Yeah.
And, like, what are they thinking?
I don't know.
If you
so-
had EMPs in the game, would you still allow the Mantis? Yes or no?
Yes.
yes, absolutely, because there's a counter, and actually I still feel
I
there's
mean,
a
I'd
counter
allow it,
now.
I'd allow
There's a
it.
counter now in the rocket launcher
Launches
and
in this game are
cold-blooded.
shit.
Well, no, they still do it would still do the job, but
Imagine having to have a class though specifically to pull out launches. Like you can run EMPs as a tactical thing even when score streaks aren't on the map.
But
You're not
that's
going
a
to use a
tactical
launcher.
choice. Just in the same way that you have a class specifically taking off your specialist equipment to run an EMP, you would have a class specifically to deal with score streak with a Hellion Sauron. That's a tactical choice, and it adds a tactical layer to the game. But regardless, I think we all sort of agree somewhat that the Mantis isn't allowed right now.
Control makes a good point actually about assists counting as kills because, like, right now, because remember in World War II when the fighter pilot was really easy to get, and then like a few months in they increased the value in competitive play. Like a similar thing, because the Mantis would be fine if it just had way more score, you know. Like,
No, I
if they
agree
had
with
the
that.
ability to bump it up to like 1300, then I don't really have a problem with them calling it in because there is still some counter. But I mean, I don't know where it is right now, but it's probably about 1,000, right? Similar to what the AGR was in Black Ops 2. So, like,
AGR was
at
like
that
900.
range, maybe it's a little bit ridiculous. But just tweaking the values in competitive play, like, would honestly solve a lot of the issues.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about the attack chopper then. So this seems to be one that a lot of people are sort of
I think
iffy on.
I think if you're having launches, have it fine.
Well, yeah, this is the thing, right? Attack choppers. If we didn't ban the stealth chopper in Black Ops 2, why the fuck are we banning the attack chopper now? It's
I don't know, man.
no different. It's
Snowflake.
literally it's no different
Yeah.
at all. It
I mean,
is
Black Ops 2, you pull out an FMJ LMG
And you
with
could-
rapid
yeah, you
fire, you
could
just shoot
slam
it
it
down in
down,
the
yeah.
mag. That's what I used to do.
Yeah. I mean, I do agree. I think what you said a minute ago, Aaron, what you pointed out with what Control said about or was it Control who said it about the assists
Yeah,
count as
Control
kills?
COD.
I think that's the only real problem with score streaks right now is the fact that assists count as kills. So basically, it's easier to earn them. But as a base score streak, attack chopper is not that bad. If you earn an attack chopper, you should be allowed to use it.
You
There are
deserve that
counters
shit.
to it. Yeah, there are counters to it. You put on a cold-blooded class. If you don't have a bloody cold-blooded class on, you shouldn't. Like, you should have to deal with the attack chopper. That's your own fault. Like, that's the problem. I feel like people just don't want to have to counter it. They don't want to have to play tactically at all. They want to just play it in a run and gun fashion.
Straight up gunfights. It's
Yeah.
literally the reason. I can tell you the reason. Probably, I'm going to say probably why people don't want score streaks and specialists is because, and they want it to be like a run and gun COD, is
Yeah,
because
World War II.
last COD and the COD before have both been that. Right, Infinite Warfare, really, let's be honest, is there much tactical depth to that game?
No.
Hardpoint was decent. That's
World
about it.
War II, any tactical depth to that game, really?
No.
There's a fair bit of
little bit
search.
more than Infinite
Smoke
Warfare.
in
People
search.
tend to underrate it, I think.
In Search, it was alright. I just don't think that. I think people just want to play that. We all slam those games being shit, but it seems like at the moment people just want to get rid of streaks. I think there needs to be a discussion had on obviously streaks which needs to be banned, UAV, CUAV, care package, all that kind of shit. And sentry gun, yeah, discretionary.
Maybe.
I think if
it
there's
takes
no
a while
there's
to
no
aim.
Sentry gun does a 360, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It-
that's
no,
no-
but it takes fucking ages to aim at you. Like I've gone up against one in pubs, and they literally take forever to even look at you. Like it takes so long.
I
to
think
spin.
if
Remember
there's
that one in Infinite Warfare? Like it was a specialist thing that people
Yeah,
put on
it's-
the ground. Fuck, man. Get me all the time.
the Black Ops 2 one is ridiculous as well. If you shoulder peek the corner, you'd just be bulleted immediately.
Yeah, you had to
but
just get
no.
lucky that it happened to be looking at you at the
I
time.
know.
you
If
peeked.
there's EMPs, 100%, okay. I don't mind there being sentry gun too much if there's EMPs, but even then you just do the double trophy setup again, and then you've got 2 layers of counter going on there, and it's all a bit of a mess. So
EMPs through walls, though, maybe, I don't know.
sentry guns, maybe not. But like attack chopper, yes. Mantis, if there's EMPs or launchers, don't just have 3 rockets and take 4 launches to kill
Sniper's
a
nest
mantis.
is the same as an attack chopper.
Sniper's nest is
You
fine.
can actually take down the snipers in the snipers nest.
Yeah, exactly. Like I
Yeah, you can
genuinely
shoot 'em out
do.
of it.
I feel like if all 4 of us can sit here and say that attack chopper should be allowed, that sniper's nest should be allowed, and that we can all agree that mantis is changeable and then allowed. Like I don't know why the community are up.
Yeah,
in
I don't-
arms.
I
Well,
don't
I
think it's
put it this
that
way:
much.
Lightning Strike and Hellstorm, yes, keep them. You know, if they're there, use them. They're staples of the game. You know, other stuff like dart. I don't mind a dart.
Dart's
Well,
reasonable, man.
I don't
Like, it's
mind.
pretty
You
OP,
have to
but at the
control
same
it.
time,
That's
you
the
have to
thing.
control it and takes you out the game. You hear the enemy called in a dart, like you can tell your boys, okay, we're 5 hitting this, like, or do a cheeky flank, get to their spawn, try and kill the guy, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
I don't see a problem with the dart. I mean, is there an HXD in this game?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's an
That's-
RCXD now.
that's
It's back to
fine.
the RCXD.
That's fine. Keep that. Keep the
Yeah.
dart. Keep the Hellstorm.
even does Flak Jacket work that well against that?
Yeah.
Because in Black Ops 3,
I
the
haven't tested
HC had to be touching you to kill you through flak, otherwise you survived. But like I've been hearing people say that they're dying consistently with flak to HC to RCXDs, which like is a bit of a problem. Flak should protect you unless maybe it's completely touching you, which I understand from Black Ops 3. But
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone with the chat knows anything about that.
I don't know.
don't know.
I think the grey areas for me are Mantis and Sentry. I think those 2 are grey areas. I think everything
Yeah,
else is
agree.
fine.
Yeah, we'll see what happens when the Cedar Bubble set, of course, comes around, because that will be the be all and end all. We have to use that across the board, but we'll see. All right, so we'll move on then from score streaks and specialists to we can all agree that the menial stuff like attachments, that kind of stuff, will get banned. We'll move on to
That'll be
one
fine.
specific.
As long as there's no rapid fire high
one
count, we're
thing we
fine.
have
specific
to talk
attachment,
about.
one specific attachment that we'll move on to in a moment. But we'll talk about the final thing, which is the big thing, which is weapons. What weapons are we banning? I mean, because I've heard talk of shotguns being banned straight off the bat.
Everything. We
Bad,
ban
like-
everything. We run around with nothing but fists.
You know what? I dig it. I dig
Like-
it. What a competitive title.
What competitive?
I think
weapons
it's
are we looking at?
ridiculous how quick we are to ban certain things out, like especially in the weapons category. Like in World War II, shotguns and LMGs were banned as well.
Shotguns shouldn't be
don't-
banned. That's period.
I don't see why
care.
shotguns are banned in this game.
There's
Like
one that
they're
has a
not that good.
range that of a sniper rifle, and it's
Well,
ridiculous.
I mean, technically
Actually,
speaking,
I've
IRL
seen that.
shotguns do have the range of a sniper rifle, but we won't get to that. Not like a proper.
I
sniper
think
Yeah,
it's
I
a
mean,
slug
they're-
round.
like-
Yeah.
but
but secondaries, they're pretty
Yeah.
balanced, man. Like nobody uses them in pubs. Like not
well,
really.
I've
Apart from
seen
maybe the
a fair
semi-auto
few.
one.
It's MW2
Yeah, like-
again. I mean, we've got them as secondaries. It's MW2 all over
Yeah,
again.
but
I'm
they're
going to
not
barrel roll in my
OP
SPAS
like
12 out.
MW2.
Yeah, you barrel roll a SPAS 12
see
out
why
and get a
they've
4
gone.
piece. Like, imagine that happening again.
The LMGs are strong though. If we want to talk about that, like
I don't know if there's a
killing
case
four
for
shots, like,
LMGs,
through to the
man.
head.
LMGs, get them out of the bin. Right, get
Right.
them in the bin right now
Listen-
because they are
listen.
because
so
they're really
good.
strong and
yeah.
5v5, man, you can
Yeah.
have like imagine control on defense. You set up 4 lads on Hades
Yeah.
and like Titans.
Well,
like,
this is
you're
the-
not
this
doing
is the-
shit against that.
This is the problem, right? LMGs, it's the same change as I said to ARs before, which is movement speed. Like, literally just make sure that people with LMGs can't run, essentially. Like, that would not necessarily fix the issues. I'd still have them banned in comp. They would
LMGs
be-
have always been a problem in
like-
Treyarch games, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're just big assault rifles. They're always
they're
have been.
intentionally overpowered. There is no way on this. This is the one thing where I would always say that is fucking bad. I am not. If I have any control over any rules ever, LMGs will stay banned for good. They are awful to play against.
No, I agree with
hate
Chris on
them.
this. Just get
I hate
LMGs
them
in the
in
bin.
pubs, man.
LMGs can get in the bin. Remember fucking Black Ops 2 with Target Finder LSAT sitting on the top of a riot shield? Get in the bin!
No.
Get that out of here. That was
makes me feel sick.
gross.
That's legit what people would have used if there was TDM competitive. Like, they would literally have set up Riot Shields, double trophy.
No, what it would have been is if
LMGs
there used to be a strategy when Riot Shield wasn't banned
Claymores.
on League Play on CTF is you would have one guy
Yeah,
post
you go
up with a Riot Shield LMG target finder.
double trophies.
Yeah, double trophies and just wreck shit.
You had
They
to
would
whip
never
the
get.
sniper out to get him.
I
Oh
know.
man, they used to do it on Raid, didn't they? Right
Yeah,
behind
all the
flag
time.
there.
And you just send 3 subs up the map. You do nothing else.
You
It's
can
just-
see like the guy is pretty bulky with the helmet on. You can just see him standing
Yeah,
behind. it.
you're
Oh,
fucked.
man.
You know it.
You can crouch and see through the little window.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
those
you know.
good times,
It's a
man.
mirror
Broken.
bullshit going on.
broken.
But LMGs, I think we can all agree are going to be banned. There's no like variation there. No one's
don't
arguing
think
for
they should
LMGs
be
to
in.
not be banned.
Oh,
There's-
no, to
there-
be fair, give me a second. I think they
Chris.
definitely should be allowed in the game.
Chris,
Nah, LMGs like just like George says, LMGs out Brexit style. Get them out of here.
Yeah.
and then any other weapons really? I feel like the Mozu is one that we're sort of talking about right now, or the Mozu, however you want to say it. That secondary
Oh,
pistol
man,
that
that's
basically one
crazy.
shots. It's
You just found a bullshit
crazy.
attachment and then
What
you
is
We
that?
are,
Is
we're,
that a
I know we're
attachment?
tracking
Yeah,
it.
it's pretty OP without the attachment, isn't it?
We're tracking it at the Esports Universe now, at the very least. So we're making sure that if people do find it really harsh, we will ban it. But that's definitely one of those weapons at the moment. It's just weird. I don't know what else there
Ban
is.
the Outlaw because
I
it's
mean-
just a shocking sniper rifle. I mean, genuinely, it's the
Should we
worst
talk about the
sniper rifle I've
operator
ever
mods
used.
in general?
Well, yeah,
they've
we'll,
gotta be
we'll,
gold.
we'll,
Because
we'll move on to attachments then. So real so operator mods are
I
attachments.
mean, the
right?
attachments aren't like. I mean, I don't really have problems with the attachments, but the
Strobe
operator
light.
mods is an interesting one. What the fuck's a
Strobe
strobe
light.
What the
light?
fuck is this strobe light?
So a strobe light is an operating mod, I believe, exclusive to the SG12, and it is
Who the fuck's going to be using
really,
the SG?
Oh.
really
I did see
horrible.
that.
It
It's so
basically
dumb.
blinds you. So basically, if anyone comes up towards you with an SG12, you can't see them because there's this big fuck off blue light. You're about to get abducted by
That's
fucking
actually
aliens.
mental. I've never said that.
And I came across
Oh
it in
my
Slums
God.
Hardpoint like yesterday,
That's wonderful.
and I literally cried. I was like, "What the fuck am I playing?"
Are
Imagine
we
that.
playing Rainbow Six here?
Up until that point, I was like, "Do you know what?
I'm mind
Actually, I'd
blown.
quite like to see how operating mods change the game." And then I came
Yeah.
across a strobe light, and I was like,
Imagine
what?
that. Imagine walking around the graveyard corner on Slums Hardpoint, about to try and break the back trash hardpoint, whatever it used to be called, and you literally,
Yeah.
your operator
Yeah.
is just made to have an epileptic fit because some fucker is standing there with a strobe light on his gun. Like, oh, that is
It's
tilting.
crazy.
operating mods will be banned.
In
There's
the
no
bin.
Do you
way
think
they're
they'll be
not banned.
banned?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they
Yes.
take quite a lot of points, but at the same
Do
time,
they take 1
the
point? They
perk-
take one
no,
extra
they
point.
Three, I
take-
think.
they take 2 for the attachment. Then you need 1 for the wild card, so it's 3
Oh, okay.
for
okay.
one attachment. The operator.
However,
but the
with
perks are
operator-
shit in this game. So like, you don't even need perks really.
Yeah.
Like,
Christ.
Don't give the fucking amateur players any ideas.
some of
Aaron.
them are OP.
Dexterity, and that's all you need. Is that what we're going with?
well,
Gung ho nowadays, people.
They're
They're
no.
currently operating
No
mods are
good.
currently banned in CMG at the very least.
I
right?
don't really have a problem
Um,
with that, honestly.
So I think they'll stay banned, but it is one specific attachment that is causing a lot of problems.
Go on, throw it at me. Is it
in the
grip? Is it grip 2?
We'll say it's grip 2.
Oh
now,
wow!
Oh baby.
I am
I have no problem with it.
absolutely for grip 2.
you have no problem with it.
This is one of the only times I actually think ever throughout like watching Call of Duty, playing Call of Duty, casting Call of Duty that I've ever been for proactively banning an item. Like a grip 2 is so horrifically unbalanced, and it doesn't just make the gun unbalanced, it makes the whole fucking game unbalanced. Like everyone's running grip 2 ICR, unless you're like you'll have at least 3 players on your team running grip 2 ICRs if that shit is not banned.
On like
And-
S&D, I think it's firing range. Like at the start of the round,
You just
it's
go around
just,
to the trailer,
it's
back at the
just
trailer, and
grip
just
2
beam people.
ICRs, just trying to beam people.
It's so
across the
silly,
map,
isn't it?
like-
Yeah.
Like, oh,
It's like the fucking double
don't-
doors on
mm.
Dust 2. That's what it reminds me of. The double doors on Dust 2 at the start of the
Yeah.
round. You bang 2 orcs down the middle, and it's which one's going to kill each other first. That's literally what it is like every round of S&D.
at least
Yeah,
you can get
it's
past on
silly.
like shit Dust 2 map.
Well, but why do you? So, Chris, do you want that grip 2 banned? I mean, I get the impression that you don't.
I
Do you
think
want
it's
a
more-
crutch
look,
attachment?
The only really thing that you have a problem with grip 2 with is the ICR, isn't it? End of the day, have
Well,
you
It's on the
yes,
seen-
GKS
It
as well.
does
but no one
roid
cares
up a
about
good few ARs.
I don't think it actually bigs like a make a difference on any other gun other than the ICR, and I think that's the
is it
only
even
one that we have an
available in
issue
any other
No,
gun?
it's available on the GKS, the
Which is,
SMG.
it's an SMG, isn't it?
Those are the
Which
only
is-
two guns.
But if you're up
It's
close and
available
personal
on.
anyway, then you
Grip 2 is
shouldn't
not going to
be as
matter. Yeah, an SMG is
Well,
not
I
going
think-
to.
Yeah, yeah.
I think if the ICR gets changed, then Grip 2 is viable. Like,
Well,
I
I
think
don't
that's
know
the
because
issue.
it completely removes recoil. I mean, are
You
we
said it's
really going to
available
start
on
allowing?
two guns?
Yeah, but then it makes the ICR the only gun you can use. If you
Well,
can have an
here's the
AR
thing
without-
you do then.
grip.
Instead of banning. Well, okay. Say for example they don't nerf the ICR yet. Ban Grip 2. Grip 1 with the ICR, as far as I understand, is actually reasonably alright. Like that's
Still
okay.
pretty good.
Yeah. Is it still really good or is it somewhat
Still
balanced?
pretty good.
Would Grip
it's
1
pretty- would
would
highly be
would Grip
recommended.
1 ICR still make it the only assault rifle used?
Probably, because the
Maybe
ICR alone
not.
is still little to no recoil.
Yeah, I agree. I think the ICR would still be prominent, but we might start to see other ARs or maybe those tactical rifles come into play.
So if
We
they say
might start to see
hypothetically
it.
speaking, they nerf either Grip 2 or the ICR, right? Then we don't have to worry about it. But if they don't nerf it, then I think there's a case for banning Grip 2. I think Grip 1
2 also reduces flinch, which is like
is it like a built-in toughness, like in Black Ops 2?
yeah, which is right now like if someone's on a head glitch with an ICR,
Yeah.
like there's not really any better guns to challenge them because they are not like say even you're on a head glitch, they're not gonna miss any shots once they hit the first one because like I don't really have a crazy problem with it, but I haven't really been playing the game that much and the pros don't like it, so I'll take their word for it. Something needs to happen.
I don't know. Grip usually has never been a problem. It's usually made quite. It's always been a dampening effect for recoil. It's never been a solution to recoil. So having something that does solve recoil really bothers me. Having something that dampens recoil is okay. So if you just have Grip 1 that only dampens recoil, that's fine. If the ICR in itself is like minimal recoil and Grip 2 just makes it a laser beam, get rid of Grip 2. And then if it's still reasonably laser beam like, you have to nerf the ICR at that point. Because even then, like the ICR, even without Grip, could still be outperforming some assault rifles.
Yeah, you just give it one of the other tier 2 attachments, like Gage is talking about. He wants us to talk about the other tier 2 attachments, which I don't really think there's anything else that's crazy strong. Like...
Stock 2 isn't that something to do with drop shotting on stock 2?
Yeah, okay, yeah. It lets you like move while you're prone, and it also lets you drop shot. Like without putting your hands
drop
down.
shot
Which
was
is
just
pretty
fucking broken, wasn't it?
Which is
you
pretty
don't need
incredible.
to do in this game. Like, I mean,
Jump
it's all about
shotting
the
is
jumping,
ridiculous,
man.
yeah.
You move so quick, like you just strafe jump around a corner. There's no real.
It's
much
like what it
place
was
for
in
drop
Black
shot,
Ops.
I
It's
don't
like what it
think.
was in Black Ops 3. You never drop shotted in Black Ops 3. You always jump shotted. Black Ops 2 was a jump shotting game as well because the character model would literally shrink as you jumped in Black Ops 2. That was the thing about it because your legs would come up.
Your legs would come up.
In Ghosts, drop shotting was ridiculous because you could slide into drop and it was so seamless because you just wouldn't.
The amount of times I've tried it on this game already.
I know.
Like, why can't I just drop shot?
Because you
drop
put
shotting
your
in
arms
this game
out.
is like-
You think it's like that
Drop shot
meme
in
of the
this
woman
game.
in the bedroom, which is like she's staggered across the bedroom floor like that. She's like,
Drop shot in this game is like it's like Rainbow Six, isn't it? Like you basically have to like
put your
calm it down
arms
onto the
out
floor.
and make sure that you're not going to fall
It's-
over and bang your
it's
head.
it's not like fast at all. Drop shotting's been gone, but drop shotting is a huge it's such a huge tactical advantage. It's why scuff. If you don't have a scuff, you're basically like fucked. Unless you're really used to playing claw,
Stick and
or
move,
have
baby.
bumper jumper
Stick
or
and
whatever,
move.
stick and move. But like drop shotting is such a big thing. Like I do feel like maybe that could be a problem if people did start to use stock 2 and there became like slowly but surely the meta changed so that stock 2 was in it and drop shotting became a thing again. Then I don't know. Maybe we'll see if stock 2 gets banned. But that's the only other
Stock 2
big.
will get banned. I'm telling
That's
you
the
now.
only other
Community
big-
pressure. Stock 2 will get banned.
I think I agree with George on that one. I think stock 2
Is it
will
that
get banned
strong?
eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Like-
if it's going to give you drop shotting back, then yes.
I haven't seen people on people using a
never seen
Saug or
anyone
whatever.
play
I've seen people use just quick draw stock grip. They don't use a second stock most of the time. I don't see it.
No, but
We'll
if
see,
enough,
we'll
if
see.
enough,
It makes you move a bit
right, if
quicker,
enough
but-
people get pissed about it. So, for example, let's say Grip 2 on the OSCR gets banned and people have to use Stock 2, right? People just decide to use Stock 2 instead, right? So think about that, right? Imagine enough people. Oh, now I can laser beam people partially and drop shot them at the same time. Like, people are going to get pissed about that as well. So community pressure, you'll be lobbied into banning Stock 2.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
somebody's got to be pissed about something now, haven't they? Really?
Yeah, to be
I
fair,
don't think
this is 2018.
I mean, it's a bunch of snowflakes. You can't please everyone. Like, it's
Ooh.
ridiculous.
Oh.
But actually, I just want to point out one thing that Davies has just put in the chat. He's just asked, do they need to change the stim shot? Because a lot of people are complaining about this as well.
No.
In the
And
beta,
for me, I
right?
don't
Just
think they
In the
need to
beta,
do
I
that.
hated it. I fucking hated it in the beta. One shot is a call out that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be straight honest with you.
Yeah, I still get
No.
called saying it. I'm like, he's one shot. He's one shot.
No, he's not anymore.
He's got
Yeah.
150
No.
HP. He's
Yeah.
re-challenged.
In my opinion, it's complete bullshit because the state it is currently. So I just remember one example. We're playing a GB. I go to retake a site. I hit the guy on the head glitch 4 times. So I think, okay, now is my chance. I've made him back down. If he, in any other card, if he re-peaks, he's at
dead.
risk of getting killed immediately. But in the current situation, he hits the stim. By the time he re-peaks, 1 second later, he's at 120, soon to be 150 health. And he just killed me while I'm trying to gain. Like, there's no ability to gain space on the map when you tag someone up. There's no consequences for getting tagged up. You just hit the regen and you're back on the head glitch. Like, the solution is difficult unless you just. If stim shot isn't in the game, then it's actually not so bad because you regen kind of slow. And it takes ages before your next regen. So, for example, like I hit someone 4 times, he hits the stim shot, but he doesn't actually have the stim shot. He just hits the regen. Then he peaks. I hit him again. Then I know that I have the space because he has to wait another 5 seconds to regen health or something like that. But right now, it's like, it's so painful.
I don't think the stim shot helps with that. I think the stim shot, even without the stim shot thing on, I think it's more about the generation of
How
how quick you
regen.
can stim yourself.
Yeah,
So I think
It's
more of a
literally
case of
you can
you
stim
can't get to a
and
gunfight,
shoot.
stim, turn around and go back.
yeah, you can.
You can stim and
but
shoot. It's ridiculous.
It's
You can
bad.
hold right trigger and stab yourself at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, here's a question then. Stim shot is overpowered, right? And it makes the game a little bit broken in terms of re-challenging and such. But if in context, what happens when you look at stim shot in comparison to body armor and the comsec device?
Yeah,
so
both of those
this
are
was
just trash.
well,
Like,
no.
the
Well,
Comsec,
listen,
is that
this
like-
is the thing, right? So
I've
comsec device is
never-
essentially
Hardline,
hardline,
Yeah.
right? So this
Yeah.
is the thing, right? People are using stim shot now because it's the only thing that's allowed. So you have to use stim shot. But what happens when you then introduce body armor and comsec device into the mix? Does that choice change things?
And personally, body armor, like it's literally Juggernaut but dulled down. It's
Well,
so
it's
stupid.
25
how-
extra health, isn't it?
Oh, come on, that's
Mm.
barely anything. It's just an extra bullet. Not even that.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
I
it
like
is an
that
extra bullet on a
trade-off.
lot of guns.
I like
like
that
the-
choice.
The thing is, my complaint with extra health is that when I engage in a gunfight, I should know how many bullets it's going to take to kill, which is why Juggernaut was such a big deal in Modern Warfare,
MW1,
because like
yeah.
when you go to take a gunfight, it's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to kill him, whereas if I know his health, I know that.
Yeah.
But in this game, you can see the little icon that says that he has armor, so then maybe my complaint isn't valid anymore.
You
But-
can see that in MW1 though with Juggernaut.
But yeah,
You've
it's
got a
hard.
little
It's
thing
harder to get.
Well,
It's
I
harder
guess
to
so,
see,
yeah,
I
but
guess.
not in the first engagement when they have Juggernaut.
But then that's a problem with body armor individually. What you're asking, actually, what I'm asking here is, how balanced is stim shot compared to body armor? You know, if both were in and you were offered a choice,
Stim shot
does the
better than
game
body armor,
then
and that's
become
fact.
more tactical inherently?
No.
I agree with George here saying that stim shot is better than body armor.
It's indefinitely
Yeah,
better
but
than
there'd be
body armor.
certain players, like if you were playing Search, like you might whip body armor out because your first engagement, like you want the extra health for the first engagement. Like say you've got a sniper or something, body armor might be what you choose because like I mean maybe body armor you don't even get a one-shot kill with a sniper unless you hit them really high up or something like that. Like
Not sure.
I don't know. I don't think it'll affect respawn. I think respawn 100% stim shot is way too strong. But in search, I think body armor may have some use. I still think both are ridiculous, personally.
No,
I think it's just
stim
not gonna
shot, right?
stop-
The way you fix stim shot is exactly the way that Gad said it in the chat. Is you change the time it takes to heal that bar back up to full, because currently it's ridiculous. You get that, you stim, and you're almost within a second back at 120 HP.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you only got 30 more HP to regen. That's going to take half a second at least. Like you're done. Like you can re-peak stuff quicker than you could like even get into the air on Advanced Warfare. It's insane.
Do you ban it then?
No,
Do
you
you
change
then
it.
ban it? So
No, because then you,
but
then by the
let's- but we're
same
relying-
virtue, you've got a ban
but
body
we're-
armor
but
as
we're-
well.
But then we're relying on CDBL on Activision and Track changing it. I
But they
don't think
will.
they'll even see
They
it. I don't think
will.
they'll see a problem with stim shot. And I honestly like this is just from past experience. If stim shot is designed to be that way, it's designed to be a choice alongside body armor, alongside the ComSec device. You need to
I
have
just
that
think
choice.
it needs a slight change. It just
I
needs to be...
I agree with you. I absolutely agree. I want it to change. I want stim shot to be nerfed. Will it? No,
Oh,
it's
there-
not going to happen.
Is there an
Yeah,
option
but,
in custom games to turn on automatic regen?
There is an
So,
option.
If you
Ooh,
were
is
to
it a
change it,
perk?
let's say that you could change stim shot.
I
How
thought it
would
was
you
a
change
perk.
it?
that
How would I
let
change it?
you-
I'd make it slower so it doesn't end up fucking regenning you that fast.
So
Yeah.
you basically essentially just stop half of its perk. Basically, you basically just cut off half of it.
You don't
You
cut
just
off
say that
half it. You just
Do you know what?
you
do
just
you
file
know
it
what
down.
do you know what actually the stim shot does? Do you know what it exactly does?
Yeah, it's a faster regen time. You get it quicker as well, so you can like peak faster and everything. Stim yourself.
Yeah.
faster.
So the official term for stim shot is it heals instantly and more often while maintaining control of your weapon. So essentially, you obviously you can run and gun,
So OP,
still
man.
heal instantly, and it gets everything back up. Like
Yeah,
like
it's
so you
silly.
can get the stim shot back again within like
Yeah.
I think it's like space
It's
of 5 seconds.
less than
which
less
is-
than 5 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, which is absurd.
Yeah.
So essentially, you're saying that if you remove the heal instantly, then you'd still allow it, but you could still use it every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't.
That's
If,
the thing. I mean, in that sort of space of time, you can get into a gunfight, dip out, heal, get back into a gunfight again. I don't think that's the way that this should
I
work.
think the gameplay is better
stim
without
shot-
it. Like,
yeah,
I don't
I
really
genuinely
mind
think
manual
stim shot should be
regen,
gone.
but without it, it actually gives you. There's actually consequences for being tagged up. Whereas right now,
you have to back
yeah,
down.
it's just-
You have to back
Yeah,
down.
yeah. Right now, you just don't. Like, just
Some-
same with
What about
repeats,
somewhere
like-
in between? Somewhere in between the healing level of stim shot.
What? So you make
the
it like
regular.
instead of 5 seconds, it's 7 seconds, and you make it so the bar goes up a little bit
7.5?
slower.
Yeah, something like that. I feel like there needs to be somewhere in between because I do actually I've played without stim shot and it feels just weird to be honest with you. Like
I've seen pros playing without stim shot though. Is it banned in CMG and stuff or?
no.
I see it not used, and I think it actually is better competitively.
Competitively, I agree with Chris. It's better if it's not used.
I also think for search and destroy right now, the big problem with that we're seeing like people just 5-stack a site is that okay, so say on slums, the first guy jumps out behind the bricks. And okay, so the guy on the head glitch, he tags him up 4 times or whatever. The guy on the bricks hits the regen and immediately re-challenges. Like the
Yeah.
guy on the head glitch is getting 1 kill max in every situation because the time to kill is high and you have stim shot.
Yeah.
So like, it's not like Ghosts where if you're set up on a heady with a Remington, you'll get 2 kills every time.
Yeah.
Like in this game, you'll get 1, which means that the offense is just going to stack up and the defense has to stack up to counter it because of the TTK and the stim shot. And the S&D is just so dull right now.
That's what
Like,
I
yeah,
have
as a
seen
result,
people saying in chat and stuff that S&D at the moment is boring as fuck.
Yeah.
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 Well,
Well,
want
I,
S&D only. I'm so confused.
yeah, we'll
Mind
see.
blown.
We'll see what that's like. Of course, I mean, at the moment we're not sure what the game modes are even going to be. But
It's
I
gotta,
think-
it's gotta be hardpoint CTF. It has to be hardpoint S&D.
well, there's no CTF.
CTF,
You,
man.
you have to bring it in.
Please
You have to
select
bring it
CTF.
in. You have to
Well-
bring it in for competitive.
Well,
It's
I mean,
the
I've heard-
quintessential game mode. We don't have.
Should we go on to that now then? Makes sense, right?
yeah,
Finish up
We'll,
on
we'll,
game
we'll,
mode.
we'll have a
Go
Go
on,
on,
very.
we'll finish up on that. Finish
We'll
up on
finish
that.
up on that. We'll finish up. What are we going to have this all to say this is going to be it?
We'll finish.
So I-
We'll finish up on this point of what the game mode
Yeah.
should be.
So point straight up should be hardpoint S&D CTF. If the game actually worked with CTF, it doesn't, because I've heard from Rated the problem with CTF, which is that because there's 5 players on each team, as soon as you get 5 down, that's it. The the flag's out and you're not getting it back. That's the problem with flags CTF. That's why it's not in the game. Therefore, we have control.
So it's a
which is
5v5
essentially
problem, which is the CTF.
yeah, it's a 5v5 problem. And control. The problem with control is that you can spawn kill. You shouldn't be able to spawn kill in a competitive game mode. You can, and unfortunately, there is no replacement for control. We're gonna have to deal with it. That's just, I mean, that's it. I don't think there's any real.
Well, you just change the spawns then, surely, and control's fine.
But
Well,
that's
you
the
can't
thing,
because
you
this
can't
is the
it
point of
changes the
control.
aspect of the game.
You literally have like your team A spawn, control point 1, control point B, team B spawn. And if team A is on defense, literally all that has to happen is team B to push all the way across the map, get past point 1, and that's it. Like team A is dead. There's no way they're getting out of that spawn.
Well, I don't know if you guys watched much of that E-League event, like the one at the start. They played control in that a little bit, and the defense, obviously, okay, it's just one map, right? But the defense won every single round because, okay, the defense meets the offense at a roughly similar point at the start of the round. Let's say the defense wins the first exchange. They push up, they have a head glitch, or they sit in a weird corner, and all they have to do is kill Whore for a couple of minutes, or just build up a few kills. Like, say one guy pushes all the way to the spawn, and because you only need to hold one objective, he can go all the way to the spawn, he can just shoot people in the back as they spawn, playing like an absolute idiot, but you build up a bank of kills, and then at the end of the round, the defense always had like a 5-kill advantage. And yeah, okay, there's your attack chopper. Yeah, the defense always had a 5-kill advantage, and they just used it to close out the round, and they won every single round. And I don't know what you do to change that, apart from pushing the offense spawns really heavy, or you make it where like there's actually an incentive as the defense to hold both points, because right now you only need to hold one. Whereas if maybe you hold both points,
is this control game mode like the control game mode in Overwatch, where you have to unlock the second point?
No.
Both points are
like demolition.
See, that would make sense, but like,
yeah, it's not like that, George. This is
it's not logical, George.
Not everyone has a brain.
Well, it's arguable to say that Blizzard does. So
no, honestly, Control's not a bad game mode. I actually really love playing it for pubs. Like, I spend a lot of my time, like I say 90% of my time on pubs, literally playing the Capture Mosh Pit, which is Control, Hardpoint, and Domination. I really love it. As a competitive game mode, at the moment, I'm not sure it's going to work unless there's some fixes to be made. I'm honestly not sure what those fixes are going to be. We will see. We're still, like we said, a long way off.
Hold on, I just saw Ramsey put in chat. He says it's a 2-minute round if you capture a point. It's a 2-minute round. What?
No, that's not defense, is it? So this is a 2-minute round regardless, and if you don't get on a point, then it's done.
Yeah,
It's like demo.
It's very weird. I don't know if it's competitive, but we'll see.
If you don't cap, it's a 1-minute round.
We'll have closing thoughts on this from everyone though. So we'll start with our guests for this week. This has been a very long podcast. So Chris, we'll start with you. Chris, what's your closing thoughts? CWO rule set. Should we have loads of soft bans, or should we just go for a ban lenient rule set, as it were?
No, I think you need to be somewhere in the middle. There's a lot of things that apps need going, and there's a lot of things that shouldn't need going that a lot of people think need going. So I think you need to meet somewhere in the middle, and you really need to hash this out. I mean, we've only been 2 weeks since like the game's been released, and I think even then that's too soon to really solidify a rule set, especially with some of the changes that need to be made to the game beforehand. Now, once these changes are made, then we discuss a proper rule set. Once the game is stable, the guns, the attachments, everything is at a more stable state. Because as you said, at the minute, it's just a single gun fucking run and gun at the minute. And it's not viable. You can't make a rule set based on one gun.
All right.
So the changes there, they need to be made.
All right, Aaron.
I'm trying to stay optimistic. That's my closing thoughts, because like I'm seeing a lot of problems and like
not a fat lot of solutions.
Man, the Search and Destroy is not fun. What even is our third game mode? Is Hardpoint even viable? 5v5, we don't even know if it's good or not.
It'll be
like
fine.
The specialists are tragic in the current state. Like Stim Shot is like the honeymoon period. Like Black Ops 4 is hyped up a lot, and Blackout is great. Pubs are relatively fun, and zombies apparently are good. But like, Jesus man, the honeymoon period lasts for Black Ops games a fair bit of time, and all I'm seeing on the daily discussion thread on Reddit is moaning about specialists. All I'm seeing the pros talk about is, you know, XYZ is bullshit, right? And like by February time, if Treyarch don't actually get their arse in gear and try and make a good competitive rule set here, because okay, let's face it, right? They've gone 5v5 to appeal to the casual market. They are going to be very uneager, if that's even a word, to restrict the competitive setting. That's just how it's going to be, especially given, hesitant, especially given that change they've made. So personally, I think it's looking slow, but I'm optimistic. Yeah. There you go.
All right. And George?
I think that, yes, I think some things need to be banned. I think that is absolutely essential. It's like the fucking dog, for example. There's no way that we can have that. That is absolutely absurd to even think that that can be allowed. And anything along that sort of train of thought. I think for anything else, though, I think there's a case to be made. I think ultimately, like Rab says, it comes down to the fact that Treyarch need to make the appropriate changes. And if they don't make the appropriate changes, then, you know, then the rule set's going to be looking seriously dodgy. It comes down to me to the fact that Treyarch, I trust in them as a developer. They have always been consistently good at balancing the game out, making a fantastic competitive title, and also having an enjoyable public match experience as well. Yeah. And even though the two might not be inherently similar, they do somewhat share the same fact that they are a Black Ops game in common. And I do believe that we will have a very consistent rule set. There will be changes to public match, but I think in the end, we're going to have a kind of public match similar to competitive in a way. There's going to be a lot of parallels. Like Rab says, with 5v5, specialists are probably going to be allowed, in all honesty. I think, though, I believe, like Rab, optimism that Treyarch will do some balancing, and it means that half the shit won't have to be banned.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good closing thought to leave out on. So
you're not going to give us your own? Come on.
No, I think I've spoken enough. to be honest. To be honest. But thank you to everyone for tuning into the stream. It's our first episode of the brand new Esports Universe show. So amazing support all around. Follow everybody from this wonderful podcast who has chosen to appear. So a huge thanks to Chris and Aaron for coming on, especially Aaron, who filled in very last minute. And of course, thanks to George for being an amazing co-host as per usual. We'll do one final little plug, which is ASPUarena.com. Sign up for the ACL, 6K prize pool for the Winter Championship. It's going to be absolutely amazing. We have like 5 tickets left at £65 price. So be sure to go cop those tickets. But I believe that's going to be it from us at the Esports Universe. And we'll see you guys on the next episode.
See you later.